Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the philosophy of language and the weird logic behind the words we use every single day. Have you ever stopped to think about how strange it is that we can talk about things that absolutely do not exist? I mean, really think about it. We can say the sentence Pegasus flies, and we all know what that means. But here is the problem. If I speak a sentence like that, I am usually using the subject of the sentence to point to something real in the world. I use the word apple to point to a fruit, and then I say it is red. But when I use the word Pegasus, what am I pointing to? There is nothing there. There is just empty space where the object should be. And this creates a massive headache for logicians and philosophers. Specifically, if we look at the work of W.V.O. Quine and his famous analysis of names. Because strictly speaking, if we know that there is no such thing as Pegasus, then the sentence, Pegasus flies, is actually kind of a disaster. It counts, perhaps, as neither true nor false. It is just a misfire, a blank shot, because the name fails to hook onto reality. But it gets even trickier when we try to deny the existence of these things. Imagine you want to say the sentence, Pegasus does not exist, or simply Pegasus exists, is false. We want that to be a true statement. We want to be able to say truly that there are no flying horses. But look at the logic of that sentence. If the sentence Pegasus exists is false, and if the subject Pegasus is working like a normal name, then we are in a paradox. We are naming something just to say it is not there to be named. It feels like we are cheating language. Usually, if a sentence saying something exists is true, we can swap in another name for the same object, and it stays true. That is what we call purely referential position. But Pegasus breaks this rule because there is no object to swap around. It is a ghost in our machine. Now, you might think, well, who cares? We know what we mean. But for logic, this is a nightmare. Looking at the structure of exists suggests that maybe existence is not really a property of individuals at all. Maybe saying something exists is just a clumsy way of saying something else. Maybe we should spell out Pegasus exists, as logic would write it, which is roughly, there is something Y such that Y is identical to Pegasus. But even this feels weird. If we treat Pegasus as a name like a label, then saying there is a Y that is equal to Pegasus is only false because the label points to nothing. And it feels wrong to say that a name can ever have a purely referential position in a truth or a falsehood if there is nothing to refer to. The intuitive idea behind a referential position is that you use the word to specify an object so that the rest of the sentence can say something about it. If you fail to specify the object, the sentence shouldn't work. Singular terms that lack objects like Pegasus raise these massive problems. They create what we call truth-value gaps. These are cases where the question of truth or false does not even arise. It is like asking, is the present king of France bald? There is no king of France, so the question is broken. These gaps are annoying. They add irksome complications to our deductive theory. We want a logic that is clean and sharp, not one that trips over imaginary horses. We could try to patch this up with a three-value logic where things can be true, false, or meaningless, but that is just adding complications without adding understanding. So, how do we fix this? How do we cure the original sin of these empty names? Quine suggests a radical solution, a way to reparse our language. Imagine we stop treating names like Pegasus, or even real names like Socrates, as simple labels. What if we rethink them entirely? Look at the structure of identity. When we say X equals A, logic shows us that we can actually maneuver all these singular terms into a standard position. We can take that identity, X equals A, and reparse it as a predication. This is the light bulb moment. Instead of saying X equals Socrates, where equals is a bridge between a variable and a name, let's smash them together. Let's turn equals Socrates into a single verb or a general term. Let's say X is Socratizing or X is Socrates. In this new view, is-Socrates becomes a predicate, just like is mortal or is human. The word Socrates stops being a name that points to an object and starts being a description that could apply to an object. Now, apply this to our problem, child Pegasus. The sentence, Pegasus exists, stops being a paradox. It transforms into the logical statement, there is an X such that X is Pegasizing. Or, there is an X such that X is Pegasus. Now, ask yourself, is that true? Well, we look around the universe and we check every object. Does this object satisfy the condition of being Pegasus? No. Does that one? No. So, the statement is straightforwardly false. Problem solved. No more truth, value gaps. No more mystical limbo. Pegasus exists is simply false because nothing in the universe satisfies the description of being Pegasus. And Socrates exists becomes true because there is exactly one thing in the universe that satisfies the description of being Socrates. We have turned names into general terms. Socrates is now a general term that happens to be true of just one thing. Pegasus is a general term that is true of 0 things. It is just like the word centaur. We know what a centaur is, but the set of all centaurs is empty. This reparsing is brilliant because it removes the need for names to magically hook onto reality before we can use them. But, of course, there are always loose ends. What about when we talk about what is going on inside someone's head? Sentences like Homer believed in Pegasus or Tom is imagining Pegasus. These are harder because they are not just about the outside world. Quine suggests we have to torture these sentences a bit to make them fit. Maybe Tom is drawing Pegasus becomes something like Tom is making a sketch, which he imagines resembles Pegasus. Or Tom is imagining himself seeing Pegasus. We have to twist the sentence to get the term back into a position where our new trick works. But the main takeaway is powerful. We do not need to rely on the history of how we learned a word to define it. We do not need to know if you learned the word mama as a simple sound or a complex concept. We can simply decide, for the sake of clarity and science, to treat all these singular names as general terms. Namehood is not a mystical property of a word. It is purely relative to the project we have in hand. By turning names into predicates, we solve the problem of non-existent objects. We close the gaps in our logic. And we can finally say, with absolute mathematical certainty and zero confusion, that Pegasus does not exist. And that is the beauty of philosophy. It takes a sentence you use every day without thinking and shows you the incredible machinery required to make it actually make sense. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more logical, deep dives.